Will Bud Light's board get sued? We recently did a video here on the channel asking that very question. I want to do an update in light of some recent information that's come out so that you have the best information and so you have an updated analysis. And so what we initially said in the video here on the channel was Bud Light first just doesn't have a board, right? It's the Anheuser-Busch board, which is really the public company. That's who's going to be responsible, Anheuser-Busch InBev. The second big thing we said in the earlier video was we talked about the business judgment rule. So I wanted to double down a little bit on some pieces in light of some new information that's come out from the media articles. So this is something I've been following, and it's something people are interested in. So let's dive into it. So Bud Light obviously doesn't directly have a board of directors. I'm not sure how Anheuser-Busch is organized internally, whether they have some companies within their structure chart to try to block liabilities or maybe for some tax planning purposes. But ultimately, your real operating board of directors is this Anheuser-Busch, which merged with a international conglomerate named InBev many years ago. And so that is where the control's at. And as we talked about in the prior video, speaking generally, a board of directors has both a fiduciary duty, which is a duty really to protect the assets, do what's best for the stockholders. But then within that fiduciary duty, they're protected by what is called the business judgment rule. They're allowed to make business judgments, and courts have come down and basically said, look, and this is statutory law in some places too, if you do a business judgment, we're not going to come back and second guess you as a matter of fiduciary duties, right? So without a business judgment rule type situation, we'd be in a place where anytime a board of directors made a decision that turned out to be worse for the company than what they could have done, they would potentially have liability. We have a lot of rear view mirror driving, so to speak, because you can always look back in time and wish you'd made a better decision or a different decision. But in business, we have to make decisions. Now, what's really come in lately, which bolsters the business judgment argument side of this, is some comments from the Anheuser-Busch VP of Marketing. Just before all of this broke loose and the media articles went out, she spent some time on a podcast, and you'll find a link below here in the notes. And she basically said the brand was struggling, Bud Light was declining, might be replaced by some other brands in some other articles. I think she just said it was in decline. Other articles suggest that other brands might actually be passing Bud Light. So what we know now from internal communications is this brand was in decline. Bud Light was having problems, and they were looking for new marketing strategies. So now, while this move may or may not be desperate, and I'd love to hear your comments on whether you thought this is a desperation play or whether you think this is really smart strategy, what we have learned now is Bud Light was in this position of struggle, at least perceived struggle by some within the company. So they were saying, hey, we got to do something. And what did they do within their business judgment? They said, let's go out and try something. And so they tried these types of marketing things, and causing a lot of backlash, but also potentially bringing in a new customer base, right? A lot of the current customers are mad. Some people are saying, hey, well, the current customers are going to be mad, but we're going to bring in new customers, more of them that are going to replace them. So looking more and more like a business judgment than just oh, we lost a bunch of customers, breach of fiduciary duty claim. So again, we don't know what's going to happen in a lawsuit. We don't have all the facts. When you get into a legal case, you have what's called discovery, which allows people to get information and documents. So if there ever was a real live case where somebody brought a lawsuit on behalf of the shareholders with respect to this issue, there'd be a lot of information developed, which we may not know right now. Which is why it's hard to say, will there ever be a lawsuit or not? A lot of people want to look at things and situations and say, is anybody going to get sued? Hard to say. Part of it depends on how aggressive of a law firm would want to come in and potentially sue on behalf of the shareholders. What documents are buried? Are there additional facts and information out there to be developed? But it's a very interesting situation to look at, and it's informative for you and me in smaller enterprises, because the business judgment rule and the fiduciary duties of the board or the LLC managers, as the case may be, is still something we're probably going to be working with from time to time in our businesses. So great case study for us to continue to learn from. We'll do updates here on the channel, so I do hope you subscribe. If there's updates that we see that are worthy, we'll bring them in there. We also get some comments that prompt videos, so do drop those comments. Hope you subscribe to the channel so we can stay in communication. I love to read the comments, but remember, comments are not confidential, so I always like to caution that here on the channel. Make sure folks understand other people are going to see them. Confidential information, reach out to an attorney. You're going to get some benefits from attorney-client privilege. Protect that information. But general questions, things you don't mind the public seeing, go ahead and drop them in the comments. Be great to communicate down there. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you soon.